Boy, oh boy. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. It's lovely to have you along for the ride. I have this story on Jason Kelce. You've seen the report from Jeff McClain yesterday that Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox are leaning towards retirement. Well, we have somebody that is the most recent Philadelphia media person to speak to Jason Kelce on the program today. And we didn't have a lot of time to break down this story until today. We had the hirings to get to. We had reaction to the hirings to get to. And we haven't heard anything from Jason Kelce himself as far as he's retiring, he's not retiring. It's still just leading to more speculation, if you will. And then this story came out by Olivia Reiner. And I mentioned yesterday that I wanted to get Olivia on the show. I reached out. And sure enough, she was kind enough to grace us with her presence. So she'll be joining the show a little bit later today. And it was really interesting. We had the conversation last night. And how it played out, if you read the story, if you didn't read the story, it's a really fascinating thing. Because I've been in this situation where your boss basically says to you, go see if you can get this story. And then you're like, okay, so what do we just go down there and just hope for the best? Yeah, we're not gonna book the guest. We're not going to book time with Jason Kelce. Just see if we can go down there and get Jason Kelce. So the the Ravens are obviously hosting the AFC Championship game, just about an hour and a half, 2 hours max, just down I-95 from Philadelphia. So Olivia gets the assignment from the editor, goes down there, and I'm thinking this is how it all played out. She just happened to get him, and she just happened to just be in the right place, hopefully at the right time, and hopefully you get some quotes. And that's exactly how it played out. Olivia walks us through the whole thing. And the one quote that really sticks out, and we'll get into it right now, is this one. And it's about how he doesn't know what next year holds for him. He doesn't know what the future holds for him. Now, there is an optimistic quote that makes you think, oh, man, this guy's not retiring before this. But this is the one that has people all the buzz throughout the week. And it says, I don't know what's going to happen for me, but I do know I still want to be involved in the organization. I still want to be a part of it, regardless of what the decision is, because I don't want to ever feel like I'm on the outside looking in on these achievements, these accolades, and these opportunities that largely represent entire cities and fan bases and organization. It's too good a feeling to pass up. So that's the first time we see him really talk about anything in football, but not playing football. Can he be part of the front office somehow? Can he be part of the coaching staff somehow? Offensive coaching, quality control coach. What is he going to do? His wife is obviously from the area. He's supposedly building that mega mansion in the area. He ain't going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm very curious to see what happens in the future, as we all are. But that story from Olivia Reiner is the latest from Jason Kelce himself on his retirement. Still, it just leads to more speculation. When Olivia joins us, she does have she highlights the optimistic point of view, which is, maybe one more year. Maybe these new coaches, maybe one more year. Maybe Vic Fangio running the defense. Maybe an experienced play caller on the offensive side of the football. Like, here's the thing. Kellen Moore, far more experienced than Shane Steichen as a play caller in the NFL, but far more of a track record in the NFL. There's a little cause for optimism there if you were going to hold on to Jason Kelce, possibly not retiring. Now, it wasn't a report per se from Jeff McClain yesterday. It was more of his gut feeling. What I think is going to happen is that they are leaning towards retirement, both Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce. We shall see. This stuff matters. Fletcher Cox, his lady is from the area as well. So maybe that has something to do with him just saying, oh, no, them should hang it up. Stay in this Philadelphia area. That's that. Who knows? Maybe the Jets would need him. Maybe the Giants, maybe somebody else locally could use him. I don't know. Maybe even later in the season. Maybe he goes shopping for a second ring, just like Ndamukong Suh did, just like Linval Joseph did when they signed up with the Eagles a year ago. Unfortunately, they didn't get that ring, but so it is what it is. So we'll get into that conversation with Olivia Reiner because it is fascinating. Also, can we just please, can Joel Embiid stop playing? The knee has been swelling. Don't need him playing basketball. They have him play the second game of a back-to-back. Don't have him play the first game of the back-to-back against the Blazers. They have him in the lineup last night against the Golden State Warriors, And literally from jump, I had a horrible feeling about it. Oh, no, Embiid's going to play today. I'm like, oh, okay, didn't stay up for nothing. Then I'll watch a little bit. He gets fouled on the jump. He gets fouled on tip-off. Fouled at tip-off. First time it's happened this season where there's been a foul on the tip-off before the game, okay? So already not feeling great. Then he's got to leave the game. Then he comes back to the game. Then he gets his ankle rolled up on. Then he leaves again. He comes back to the game. And then he goes to set a screen and he gets his knee banged. Not the good, not the bad one, the good one. And then later he gets the knee, another knee landed on. Not great. Not the same one, a different one. So we're working on both knees now. Look, the MVP award and the rules, you got to play 65 games, 20 minutes in 65 games for the season to qualify for the MVP award. No one should care. We have seen the show before. In my life, we've been blessed with at least two MVPs in Allen Iverson and Joel Embiid. That's great. That's awesome. I've seen the MVP award. You know what I haven't seen? Well, technically I was alive for it, but I didn't see it. I haven't seen the Sixers win a championship. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. I've seen 2 MVP seasons, and oh man, memories and how amazing and great. But I haven't seen a championship. We haven't seen. Let's get a championship. That's all that matters. Having Joel Embiid healthy, having Joel Embiid well rested and fresh for the playoffs is all that matters. Nothing else matters. Please, why are we doing this? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. But he goes out there last night. He logs a total of 30 minutes in the game on 5 of 18 shooting, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc, only attempts 2 free throws, and gets 14 points in the 119-107 loss to the Golden State Warriors. Tobias Harris was the leading scorer with 26 points. Maxey also did not play last night. Or did not play again last night, I should say. Korkmaz, 19 points, 22 minutes. There you go, Ferky. But as far as Embiid goes, Nick Nurse said after the game, it's got nothing to do with the knee that's been bothering him. This is a new thing. Cool. Great news. Glad he's playing. I never thought I'd be in the school of, let this guy play less. I never thought I'd be in the school of that, but I'm in the school of that now. That's exactly where I am. That's 1,000 billion% as to where I'm at. Don't need him to play. Don't need him to play. Seen the movie, know how it ends. Want to see a new movie with a better ending. That's as far as that goes. All right. So this is an unfortunate story. I did not expect to be talking about anything like this when the season started. The Flyers had been creating a lot of great vibes this season. New president in Keith Jones, new general manager in Danny Briere, a goaltender in Carter Hart that we were really hoping was going to be that goaltender we've been waiting for all these years. I've been trying to I didn't want to talk about this story much until we knew something substantial. And the substantial thing happened yesterday where Carter Hart was charged with sexual assault. 4 other members of the NHL have also been told to turn themselves in to Ontario police in Canada. And that's what looks like Carter Hart's going to do. The police in Ontario are going to hold a press conference on Monday, where we'll know more information. But one thing I was hoping I wouldn't see was the word charged after Carter Hart. And that's where we're at. This is for sexual assault stemming from a 2018 incident during the World Junior Championships. And Carter Hart has been charged for sexual assault in the report is it's one lady that is that's awful. One lady is accusing 8 members of the Canadian World Junior hockey team of sexual assault, and Carter Hart is one of them. That's where we're at. We'll wait for more information. Carter Hart's side of things, according to his attorneys, he is innocent of the accusations. So we'll see what comes out of this. This is something that we're not going to speculate on. This is something we're just going to report the news on. and comment how just awful this is from every single possible aspect that something like this would happen. So that's that, unfortunately. And we'll get more information after Monday's press conference by Ontario Police. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, to get into this Jason Kelce story a little bit more and understand what the future holds for the Eagles center, Olivia Reiner went down to Baltimore with just the hope that she would get to talk to Jason Kelce and figure out a little bit more about what he's planning on in retirement. Also, at the end of this, Baltimore, on a much lighter note, Baltimore is one of the people underestimate it. It's one of the best food cities in the country. Okay, Philadelphia is above it. Don't get me wrong. But then Baltimore, seafood's amazing. But then they have like the very cultural, rich neighborhoods. Not as vast as Philly, but still very culturally rich. And there's one restaurant in particular that I love going to. And at the end, just a human interest, I asked Olivia, this wasn't scripted. All right, I didn't know what she was going to say. I said, hey, where'd you eat? And she mentions my favorite restaurant in Baltimore. It's pretty amazing. Not bar restaurant. I should be specific because Jimmy's, love you guys too. Jimmy's Seafood, been going to you guys since I was a little Mark. Little Mark was going. But she mentions my favorite place downtown, so to speak. Without further ado, on Jason Kelce, to give us all the latest is Olivia Reiner of Inquirer.com. And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line from Inquirer.com. If you're not following her yet on social media, you got to follow Olivia Reiner right there of Inquirer.com. And I'm sure you've read by now the story that came out fairly late Sunday night, the story on Jason Kelce attending Travis Kelce's AFC Championship game, which they punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. But more importantly, Olivia caught up with Jason Kelce. Now, first and foremost, Olivia, I got to ask you this. Those kinds of things are so fluid. So when did you know you were going to Baltimore, Maryland? When did you know you were going down to the Charm City? And when did you know, if at any point you were going to get to talk to Jason Kelce?
Yeah, so I had made plans via my editor to go to the AFC Championship game pretty much when we knew what the matchup was going to be. And we knew that the Chiefs would be there, the Ravens would be there. And obviously, like, the goal, I think, was to potentially get Kelce after, coming off the heels of the Chiefs-Bills game where Jason went super viral and he took his shirt off and everyone was, kind of up in arms about that. But so the aspiration was to try to get him at some point. Of course, that's a really lofty aspiration. At least it was for me because, who knows when I'm going to run into him. If I'm going to run into him, I don't have him on speed dial. I don't know him super well. I haven't been covering him for very long. I haven't been covering the team for very long. So it was, certainly the aspiration was to be able to talk to him and just honestly really keep an eye on him and see if he did anything of note, kind of similar situation to the Bills game. And just, have somebody there. It's a pretty quick drive from Philly. It took me about an hour and 45 minutes to get down there. And depending on how the game went, I had plans whether either team won. And I didn't put all of my stock in like, okay, I'm going to try to get Kelce and, that'll be my story. I had a plan if the Ravens won, I had a plan if the Chiefs won. And when the Chiefs won, I went down, before the Chiefs won, I should say, maybe about like 8 minutes before the game ended, I decided to go down to the field level and get in position to get out onto the field when the game ended. So I would be able to talk to, whoever was on the field, but also maybe keep an eye on whether or not Travis was interacting with his family out on the field or even in the stands, something like that. And that was pretty much the plan. So as soon as I got down there, I located where Travis Kelce was on the field. And as soon as I could get on the field, I was just like, I'm not letting him out of my sight. I'm just going to follow him around. And if I follow him around long enough, perhaps Jason Kelce will also appear. Just so happened that Taylor Swift also appeared. So I got to see that as well. It's just like, okay, fine. It was cool to see her and see them. And then luckily around the time when Travis went on stage with the rest of the team to receive the AFC title, I turned around and Jason was standing right there. So he was taking pictures with a ton of people, and I was not the only reporter that talked to him. There were some international outlets that spoke to him as well before I spoke to him. But after a long enough period of time, I was able to get a few minutes with him, and it was pretty wild. These are kind of the moments you go to journalism school for, just in preparation, and covering other big events has certainly helped me. In a situation like this where you have to have a plan, you have to be prepared, but you also have to be prepared to abandon that plan if something else comes up that's more important. So that's kind of like the inside baseball of what happened.
That is incredible. Plus, I love the idea of Philadelphia being the only place in the world, in this galaxy, where it's like, well, if you can't get Jason Kelce, I guess get Taylor Swift. I mean, if you know, yeah, it's just like, we'll downshift to Taylor Swift. No. But okay, so that moment happens where you see Jason Kelce, and I've been there, not for the Inquirer or anything, but I've been there where is it that type of moment where it's like you just ask, can I get you for a couple minutes? And your whole night is riding on yes or no. Is that the way? Did you have to approach Jason Kelce and say, hey, can I grab you for a couple minutes? Was it one of those deals?
Yeah, pretty much. He had already talked to 2 other outlets before me, so part of me was like, okay, he's open to doing interviews right now. That's good for me. But also, perhaps maybe he's out of time and he wants to go see his brother, or he wants to go see his family, or talk to his brother's teammates, or go take more photos with people. So at the same time, like, I didn't want to take too much of his time, but I'm there to do a job, and he's a professional and he knows that I'm there to do a job. So I did really appreciate that he took a few minutes to speak with me. But like I said, if it didn't work out, I had a backup plan that I would have pursued, and it would have been fine as well. But I was in the right place at the right time. I was lucky, and he was kind enough to agree to speak with me.
I like the idea of you just keeping eyes on Travis Kelce like a linebacker or a safety coming down to the box to making sure he wasn't getting out of your sight. So you actually had the best coverage of Travis Kelce all night, because I watched that game. You had the best coverage. When it came to the quote, and this is what everybody's talking about, and the way you wrote the story was great. I wanted to make sure I could get you on and tell the story and talk about what you wrote, because he's got you going left there for a second, where Jason Kelce is saying, I love playing, love this team, always want to be a part of it, that kind of thing. And then comes the right hook, where, get you, where the curveball comes and he says this. This is what has gone viral from the story. I don't know what's going to happen for me, but I do know I still want to be involved in the organization. I still want to be a part of it, regardless of what the decision is, because I don't want to ever feel like I'm on the outside looking in on these achievements and these accolades and these opportunities that largely represent entire cities and fan bases and organizations. It's too good a feeling to pass up. So that's kind of, other than seeing him do a podcast, do a talk show, do something else, that's him kind of talking about doing something within the world of football that will still scratch that itch of competitive nature. What did you take away from that quote that a lot of people have broken down?
Yeah, I definitely took that away, that he wants to continue to be involved in the organization in some capacity, regardless of what his playing future looks like next season. Or I should say, if his playing future doesn't look like continuing next season, that he still wants to be involved in the organization. So I think that is, I guess, a relatively new revelation here. But at the same time, I think we've always known that. I mean, maybe at least from, it seems like, I don't know, I've kind of always figured that the Eagles would be like, why wouldn't they want to keep him around in some capacity? He relates so well to his teammates. He's such a good leader in that locker room. He has so much knowledge. And that even when he is done playing, why wouldn't they find a role for him in some capacity if he was interested? And, I don't know that for a fact that they would be willing to do that. But now at least we know that Kelce's interested in doing something in that manner. So I think that certainly is news. And so we'll see. I don't know what to expect, but it was definitely enlightening. And I think part of his admission there too, what came out of just that moment of being out on the field for the AFC title, watching his brother celebrate with his teammates, Jason knows these players very well too, just, after playing against them for so long, and, having some of them on his podcast and things like that. I'm sure to an extent they've become friends as well. So, I think you get wrapped up in the emotion of that moment, and you're like, I'm not ready to say goodbye to all of this right now, like entirely, maybe as a player, but maybe not in some other capacity with the Eagles organization. So we'll see. But I think, yeah, certainly that came out of part of the emotion of that moment.
I mean, in all honesty, I think Jason Kelce would settle to be Swoop if it just meant he can stay around the building, stay around the players, of course. Overall, do you see him, like, what does your gut tell you?
No, this is not me reporting. Whatever I'm about to say is just like my feelings and my thoughts. But I don't know. I thought that just speaking to Jason the other night, it really felt like in a way he kept the door open. You know, he didn't slam it shut. Just talking about kind of one of the other quotes I think that was interesting to me, and I actually have it pulled up too here, so so I don't misquote him. That he said that he's really looking forward to next year, and he looks forward to trying to prove people wrong, especially with some of the recent hires and Nick Sirianni coming back next season. And there's a lot of things up in the air for the Eagles, but that he thinks as a player, you always look forward to going into battle with your guys. I mean, that just to me doesn't sound like someone who has totally shut the door on it. I'm not saying that he is coming back or that, I don't know. But at the end of the day, he didn't sound like someone who has completely made up his mind that he will not come back. So we'll see. But I'm eager. Well, curious to find out.
As am I. And then you're right. You read that, and that's perfect. That's what had me leaning in. And then all of a sudden, bang, curveball. I don't know what it looks like yet. And it's like, oh, come on, Jason. Come on. All right. So you're right. That does sound like someone who still has still has that competitive edge, not just to, be a scout or someone just to go, hey, rah, rah in the locker room or whatever. And plus, he's also good friends with Connor Barwin, who has carved out a nice little job for himself in the Eagles front office. So, maybe, but I'm with you. I'm like, this door's still pretty open for Jason Kelce as far as I'm concerned. As far as some other news I want to cover with you while we have you, Olivia, Nick Fangio, Kellen Moore, just want to ask you, thumbs up, thumbs down. What'd you make of the hires? Let's talk about Vic Fangio, first defensive coordinator, ton of experience, 20-year defensive coordinator coming in here to take over the Eagles defense. What was your reaction to Vic Fangio getting hired?
Yeah, I think, here's a guy that the Eagles have some familiarity with, having worked for the team previously. And also you look at the way that the Eagles have had, their defenses have looked the last couple of years. So that with having some influence to some extent of Vic Fangio's scheme, whether, Sean Desai having worked under him with the Chicago Bears, Jonathan Gannon also talking about how, Vic Fangio influenced some of his, just the way that he ran his defense. So I think, if the Eagles like that, and we know that Nick Sirianni likes to try to limit explosive plays, that's one of his big defensive philosophies. And if he wants to continue kind of along a similar philosophy that the Eagles have been running over the last several years, then, hey, why not bring in the guy that is kind of the author of his own defense that the Eagles have kind of run similar schemes to over the last several seasons. So, time will tell. I still think that a lot of the defensive issues boil down to personnel too. So that, it's not just, hire a defensive coordinator and all of a sudden all the problems are fixed and things are great. I think that there's going to have to be some changes made defensively in order for things to get back on track. And I'm sure, there's no doubt in my mind that there will be changes to some extent. Just that's the nature of every season in the NFL. But we'll see exactly what Howie Roseman has up his sleeve in the offseason.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And now for the offensive side of the football, I still haven't seen it become official yet with Kellen Moore. I'm assuming this is happening. So Kellen Moore, that soon to be announced hiring, I guess, for the Eagles. What do you make of him coming to Philadelphia?
Sure. Yeah, we the Inquirer have not confirmed it yet, but it has been reported out there that he will become the next offensive coordinator. So I guess, under the assumption and kind of the reports that Kellen Moore will be the next Eagles offensive coordinator. I think, again, I'm eager to see, like, right now, everything to me is it's a thumbs up. It's just going to be a matter of time and a matter of, what is he going to be able to do with the personnel that he has. He has a very solid resume, especially coming out of Dallas, both in 2019 and 2021, having a lot of success calling those offenses. But I think, to me, what is going to be the most interesting is really how much power is he going to have, just in this offense to make decisions, obviously as a play caller, but this is going to be, at least the way that Nick Sirianni kind of worded it in his press conference the other week, is that he was looking for a new coordinator to come in and run their scheme, essentially, the coordinator scheme, not necessarily Nick Sirianni's offense, which is what has been the norm for the last several seasons under him in Philadelphia. So it's a departure from what the Eagles have known. So how much autonomy is Kellen Moore really going to have? It seems like maybe more than offensive coordinators past. So that is the big question for me that I'm looking forward to getting answers from once we are finally able to talk to Kellen Moore and check back in with Nick Sirianni about just what they envision for this offense next season.
Yeah, because it is an interesting thing, and I know it's been said with a lot of disrespect. I may have said it once or twice with some disrespect, but it's a legitimate question. So because of the way the head coach of the football team has labeled this, defense coordinator handles the defense, offensive coordinators to be calling the plays. And what makes it so weird, it's not just a head coach saying, oh, yeah, well, the offensive coordinator, of course, he handles the offense. No, this is a guy that once called plays, gave that a responsibility away. And then when he did that officially and made that announcement 2 years ago, he said, I'll do the game plan. I'll do the game plan. Then throughout this year, my offense, Brian calls the plays. Now it seems like hands are off more so than ever. So in your opinion, not reporting, but your opinion, what your gut tells you about this, what do you think Nick Sirianni's main role, other than the title of head coach, what do you think his main role is going to be week to week when it comes to prepping for these, 17 games?
It's a great question. What we know based on what he said in that press conference about a week or so ago is that his job, the way that he sees it, first of all, he said that it's going to be very similar to what is going on right now, which presumably he means what has been going on at least this past season. But his job is to be, as he said, the head coach of the team. Not necessarily the head coach of the offense, as you said, the defense or the special teams, but to focus on the team and building the culture specifically. What that looks like on a daily basis, that is the question, and what that looks like in terms of game planning throughout the week and preparing the offense, I think that is also the question. And I think that's why it's important to get back with those guys, talk to them, talk to Kellen Moore about what his expectations are. Because it's like I said, it's a departure from what the Eagles have done typically. But that said, Nick Sirianni, and I think I'm sure a lot of fans were eager to hear him say this, was that they're looking for new ideas for the offense. He admitted that he felt like the offense had gotten stale toward the end of the season. And if you want to try to reverse that, you might as well bring in someone from the outside who's not from the same coaching tree, and who has had some different experiences and success in other places too. So we'll see if they're able to have the success that they're looking for.
Still gathering information. Lastly, and this is probably the most important one. Did you get a chance to eat anywhere in Baltimore? Did you get in any of the good spots? Do you have to pack a lunch, eat at the stadium? What's the deal?
Yeah, I did have a really good dinner in Baltimore, actually, the night before I met up with my former beat partner on the Flyers, Gianna Hahn. She is covering the Baltimore Ravens now for the Baltimore Banner, and she's doing a great job. Had a great season that came to an end, but I was able to have dinner with her the night before in Baltimore. We went to an Italian restaurant called La Scala, I believe. La Scala's.
With the indoor bocce court? Court?
Yeah. It was incredible. It was so good.
Last time I was there was COVID. They still had tables on the bocce court. Was the bocce court open?
I didn't sit down there. I sat upstairs, so I didn't actually get to see it.
Oh, that's the fancy place. The fancy
Next
people
time.
sit upstairs. Those highbrow people. No, I'm kidding. No, I absolutely. This is a real enjoy. I love that place. That place is amazing. And my wife and I, when my daughter was really little, she's only 4, so she was maybe a year and a half, 2. They took her into the kitchen. She was just roaming around the place, and of course, the owners are from Italy. And my daughter's name is Emanuela Farzetta, so they loved her. And they took her into the kitchen, showed her around, and it was such an awesome. I love that. Such a great restaurant. Anyone in the Baltimore area, go to La Scala. The place is amazing. Little Italy in Baltimore. Yeah, they got a Little Italy. Go there. Anyway, it was absolutely great catching up with you again, Olivia. Much appreciated. People need to check this story out on Inquirer.com. It really does offer a lot of information on what was going on in Jason Kelce's mind and how it's operating right now with the idea of retirement, of course, as we know, for a couple of seasons creeping in. Olivia Reiner, thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated. Now, turn my mic back on. Before we go any further, let's talk about our friends at the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone. Create an account, use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy at the Game Time app, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase at the Game Time app. You want to go to the big game? You want to go to the concert? You want to go to the comedy show? Want to go to the theater? Game Time app has got your tickets. And how about this? If you find tickets for less anywhere else, Game Time app will get you back 110% of the difference. Start finding them in the same section, same row for less. Game Time app's got you 110% of the difference. Also, last minute ticket deals, flash ticket deals, also ticket deals an hour after the event starts. So download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and we'll get you $20 off your first purchase at the Game Time app. So make sure you check that out. How about the great people at MyBookie, mybookie.ag? You want to bet on the big game coming up a week from Sunday? Want to bet on basketball? Want to bet on spring training when that's rolling around in 2 weeks, 3 weeks? You could do that at the game at the MyBookie, mybookie.ag. And how about this? If you download the app, you create an account, and you use promo code Farzy, you know what you get out of that? I'll tell you what you get out of that. You get out to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at mybookie.ag. And it's not just for sports. Oh, man, no. It's for the whole world of things. Favorite TV shows, you can bet on them. Politics, you can bet on politics. You can do all that right there on MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Make sure you use promo code Farzy. How about the people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's phlsportsnation.com. And also, don't forget about the great people at Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Before we get to our chat check today, I do want to get into this with the Jason Kelce story. It is fascinating. A guy that is saying, though, he wants to prove people wrong, and a guy that is intrigued by this coaching staff, that isolated is a very encouraging sign. And what you gather from Olivia Reiner is that, he's not done yet. But what takes the air out of the balloon and what made me go, I don't like it, was this quote. And like I said, while you're reading the story, like, okay, yeah. Oh, he doesn't like what people are saying about the. Oh, he likes the new hires. Oh, he wants to prove people wrong. All right, let's go. And then it's just like, but I don't know what's going to happen next year. Maybe I'll do something else with the organization. Damn it! That's what gets you. That's the part that makes you go, ugh. And what is so fascinating about it, it's the idea of, again, not Jason Kelce focusing on his entertainment career, if you will. He's focusing still on a continued football career, just not in the realm of playing, but in the front office. And he has seen guys do this in his time here. Brian Dawkins spent time in the front office during Jason Kelce's tenure here. Brent Selleck was helping out with the team a little bit during Jason Kelce's tenure here, obviously, of course, after the Super Bowl. Connor Barwin, I mentioned him yesterday. Plenty of players do it. You look at Andy Reid's coaching staff, you see some of his players on there. Greg Lewis. It's bonkers to me. You see guys like that still on his coaching staff. Some guys just want to stay in it. Jason Kelce seems like a guy that's going to want to stay in it. And one of the other things we have to keep in mind here is just not the mentoring process. And if you read Olivia's story, one of the players she mentions in terms of a mentoring status from Jason Kelce is Cam Jurgens. Let's not forget the idea that Jason Kelce was also someone involved in scouting Cam Jurgens. So maybe he's got an eye for that. Maybe he's got a knack for that. Maybe he's got a little, twinkle in his eye when it comes to scouting players out of college. Maybe that's the direction he wants to go. Got a young family, as we all know. Scouts got to travel a lot. Maybe an advisor to the general manager. Hey, Jason, let's watch this film together. Let's break this down. What do you think? That kind of thing. I think one of the most important things when you link it to the idea of not in the capacity of being a player, one of the stories you have to link about Jason Kelce is the story about him and Cam Jurgens. How he watched tape on him, how he liked the style of play that he had. Maybe a little bit, hey, it reminds me of me. Maybe we should take this guy out. And next thing you know, he's playing next to Jason Kelce on the Eagles offensive line, being coached by Jeff Stoutland. So that's one of the things I think we need to focus on. If there's any idea of what he could be doing after his playing career is over, where he still gets his hand in the thick of things, where he still has a little bit of input, a little bit of influence, and is still a part of the team in some capacity, that's something that I think we need to keep in mind. Also, if you watch the Jason Kelce documentary that came out months ago, that was put together by Jason Kelce, by Connor Barwin as well, there's two scenes that really stick out to me in that movie, in that documentary. One is where he's sitting at the poker table. Is it a poker table, or were they actually having some beers? But there's Harold Carmichael there. Todd Harrimans is there. Brent Selleck is there. All these guys are around the table kind of talking to him about what they went through during retirement. And it's like the common theme is that you got to make sure you got to make sure. That's it. You got to make sure. That's it. Maybe sometimes you want to, maybe some people want to leave a little bit left in the tank just so I can still play. Some guys want to do that. Other guys, no, they just want to know that they left it all out there. They got every ounce of playing football out of their system. Again, I wish it confirmed something, but I don't think we're going to have anything confirmed until closer to the new league year when it comes to Jason Kelce's future as a player or whatever his role is going to be in the franchise. It all just leads to more speculation. The other thing I think you have to keep in mind with Jason Kelce from that documentary, aside from that scene where they're all sitting at the table, is they're sitting around the campfire. Jason Kelce and Connor Barwin, and Kelce's talking about how he has this, it does weigh in his mind that he's been playing for a long time, and CTE is a thing, and how he's got to trade some great years right now for some possible tough years down the line. And this is a very real thing that he talked about, how it's possible this could happen to him. And he hits his head on every play and all that. Something weighing in on his mind. And those are all the factors that go into this decision that he's making. So, again, I don't think this is going to be anything that we read a tweet. I don't think this is going to be anything that we read a report, whether it's the Inquirer, whether it's ESPN, whatever. It's not going to be something as simple as that. This is going to be a video announcement at the least that Jason Kelce is retiring. The scenario that came out a couple weeks ago on the Pat McAfee show, and I got to give him 100% of the credit. I happened to be watching, and he had a similar thought that I did. Like, Jason Kelce's not going to go down like this. This isn't how you just read a report from Adam Schefter that he's retired. That's not happening. This is Jason Kelce we're talking about. This isn't some guy that's just going to go down up Broad Street, over Market, JFK or up Market, down the Parkway, the Ben Franklin Parkway to the Art Museum in a mummer's outfit. This is a guy that's not just going to go down the street in a T-shirt and jeans and sandals, flip-flops, whatever. No, this is a guy that's going to go down there in that mummer outfit. He's going to do it big, baby. And that's what he did. This isn't some guy that's going to be like, oh, well, look, oh, how about that? No, this is going to be a spectacle. And the idea Pat McAfee had, and if you haven't heard it, it's great. He goes out, he basically rents out an arena, Lincoln Financial Field, some kind of venue. They do some kind of New Heights live show with all special guests lined up, and then Jason Kelce announces his retirement. That would be more of a way that Jason Kelce retires. The only other way, since I've thought about it, that he could retire is he just goes to some random bar in Philadelphia and he tweets out himself, I'm retiring, beers on me, here's where I'm at. Woof, and the place is swarmed. That would be a very Jason Kelce type move. A very Jason Kelce type move. By the way, I'm done, and it's just him drinking a beer. But anyone that wants to meet me, I'm at McGillen's. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. That'd be another way he could go down. Wouldn't put it past him. But here's what I know. It's not going to be some tweet, some story written of how we found out. We're going to hear it from the lion's mouth himself, the horse's mouth himself, when he officially makes the decision as what his future holds as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles and in football. If he is done, it is a beautiful thing. And, look, Kurt Flood was before a lot of our time, guy who kind of created free agency in sports. So for me, it's not weird when athletes change teams. Like when Brett Favre even went from the Packers to the Jets, I wasn't like, nah, that's weird. Nah, it was fine. When he went to the Vikings, I was like, oh, it's about rivalry, but whatever. This is what players do now. But when you do get guys that play their entire careers in one city, and we know far too well, seeing Brian Dawkins in a Broncos uniform was like, okay, this is weird. I feel weird about this. Seeing somebody finish their career here would be a marvelous thing. And I think Brandon Graham is going to finish his career here in Philadelphia. I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. I think he's going to get that what do you call it? Victory tour? Is that what farewell tour is what he called it. I think he's going to get that here in Philadelphia. That's a beautiful thing. Jason Kelce's a Hall of Famer. One of the greatest centers to ever play this game. Won a Super Bowl here in Philadelphia and provided all the motivation, provided all the content along the way. The send-off he's going to get is going to be spectacular. And knowing that he'll never wear another jersey other than the midnight and Kelly Green is a wonderful thing. Absolutely wonderful thing. Also, before we get to our chat check today, the Pro Bowl is going to have 2 more Eagles. Pro Bowl, or as I like to refer to it, Pro Bowl asterisks, okay? Pro Bowl is now going to have Jalen Hurts and Darius Slay. And by the Pro Bowl, I mean the skills competition and the flag football championship. They were first alternates. Slay is going to be going in for Ward. Ward and Hurts is going in for Purdy, who are obviously going to be busy playing in the Super Bowl. Fine, great, dandy. First alternates. They're going to be joining the other Eagles Pro Bowlers in DeAndre Swift, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelce, Hassan Reddick, and Landon Dickerson. Cool. They get that accolade. Great. Fine. This is just something that I wish would go away. They should just name the Pro Bowl. These are the Pro Bowlers and not have a Pro Bowl. For the people wondering with the flag football game, why they even bother having this anymore, I'll tell you why. One word, sponsorship. I've had plenty of conversations with people that are at the Pro Bowl every single year. They're part of organizing it and all that stuff. The Pro Bowl is never going to go away because this is where the NFL really, 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 really spoils their sponsors. I don't know if you guys have ever worked in corporate America and had to go to that big corporate function where everyone flies into town and all that stuff. And pharmaceutical companies, I know they have these all the time. Oh, man, the NFL, this is their big event. The Super Bowl is wonderful, and they do that too. But this is where you get a little bit more up close and personal with the players. And this is where the sponsors can take those pictures and have the meet and greets and all that type of stuff. That's why the Pro Bowl is never going away. That's why they will demean it, devalue it to a flag football game. And a skills competition. Skills competition is always fun. You see the players having fun, long, tall, whatever the hell they do. It's great. But the flag football game is like, okay. All right. I don't know why we're doing this. Oh, yeah, sponsorship. That's why we're doing it. But either way, Jalen Hurts goes to another Pro Bowl, as does Darius Slay. So they join some of their teammates there. So good for them. Let's get into our chat check today and talk to you fine people and see how you guys are doing. John Carter. Oh, hey, John. What a great show. Stay blessed and mighty and strong. I will. Thank you, John. Very much so. Teresa, what's going on? Kevin, hello. Teresa, I'm so happy to hear yesterday Jalen and Slay are going to the Pro Bowl. Yay. I'm happy to see that I'm happy to see it. The only thing I can't get on board with is the yay. Meh. Andrew, what's up, Andrew Dirk? Ready for the draft? Excited to see what Hurt does. Oh, Clint Hurt. Yeah. With Davis and Carter. I'm excited for that as well. The Eagles recently tweeted out the video as a GIF of Jalen Carter finishing second in second place in the defensive rookie of the year voting and all that stuff. And it's like Jalen Carter pointing to the fact that he's second. And it's like, he was supposed to win it. What happened? What happened? Like, that was supposed to solidify the steal of getting him at number 9 in the draft. That's what it was. And then fell off a cliff at the end of the season. So Jordan Davis, another year of being a pro under his belt. A month earlier, they're going into the offseason. A month less of playing games and preparing. I really hope that this bears fruit next year. in December and January. That's what I really hope, that it bears fruit at that point. Rookie wall goes away. No excuse of, they played a lot of football. And that Clint Hurt just absolutely puts them over the top as far as what their potential is. Really unlocks their potential. What the hell? Why not? Campbell, I'll put you up there. What's up, Campbell? How are you? Trade Embiid. You know, yesterday, while I'm watching him late last night get banged around in that game, it was if I'm being really honest, if I really start thinking about it, going into the game and knowing that his knee had swelled and he's having this problem and he's had knee problems in the past and blah, blah, blah. At what point does Joel Embiid become the guy you unload? I know a lot of people were there at the end of last season with the way everything ended, and I got to the point of, I'm not pushing Embiid out the door, but I'm answering calls. I'm taking calls. What are you willing to give me for him? Oh, Rudy Gobert-esque package? Yeah, okay. We can talk. That's the difference for me. Now, with the way this season could end, do you really hold on to Embiid for another year after this? This is one of the awful things about the reality of the season is this could be it. In the offseason, you could see the Sixers moving on from him. You could see Tyrese Maxey being the guy, and a guy that's young enough to grow with whatever talent you would get back and picks you would get for Joel Embiid. So the thought is there. And the unfortunate part of it is that it could have to do with just his health breaking down. And he's never been a model of health, as we all know. And it sucks because, I've so enjoyed watching him play the sport of basketball. I wish that we just had a little bit more substance in terms of playoff victories and an NBA championship, obviously. But the thought is definitely there. Teresa face palming. What's going on with these players from good to worse? Are we talking about Embiid still? Or are we talking about Jalen Carter? Trade everybody. Okay, I think that means the Sixers. Okay, trade everybody. Rebuild. I'm not trading Maxey. No, sir. No, ma'am. No, anyone. Sean Kilrain, good morning. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Sean Gillespie, Jason Kelce is way more important than Taylor Swift. I'll say this. Gianna, now I'm thinking about Gianna Hahn, her friend in Baltimore who covered the Flyers. Olivia tracks Travis Kelce, finds Jason Kelce, gets the interview, and meantime gets all this footage of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift linking up after the game. Goes viral, like over 1,000 retweets, if you will, if you call that viral. I think that's pretty good. And get Tay-Tay involved. She's the kingmaker. Sean, still can't believe how the Ravens wet the bed again in the playoffs, and of course the Bills. It's insane. I really thought the Ravens were going to win that game. Thought this was going to be their year. And then Patrick Mahomes. How do you bet against them? Eagles definitely need to retain Kelce's mentorship in an advisory role at least. Yeah, Jason Kelce, I'll put it this way. Jason Kelce's not done with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be around. Bucks confirmed they have interviewed former Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson today for their head coaching opening. Peace out. I wish Brian Johnson nothing but the best. I hope he gets hope he has a long and awesome career. I really do hope the best for him. Sirianni basically did what the puppet master asked of him. Watch Kellen Moore become head coach. Once Nicky Pom-Poms falters, Farzy. Nicky Pom-Poms. I really find it difficult. They have to have sputtering out of the gate in order for Kellen Moore to take over as a head coach. But here's the thing. If they sputter out of the gate and the offense looks terrible, you don't promote the offensive coordinator. It's so complex. It really is. Does Vic Fangio? I don't think Vic Fangio, who is changing locations and changing jobs to be closer to family, is necessarily really feeling the head coaching responsibilities. I told you guys I'm watching Hard Knocks just to pick up whatever I can on Vic Fangio. I told you I was through like three or four episodes and hadn't seen Vic Fangio. Well, it turns out I was through 3.5 episodes. So I like to watch it. It's my breakfast show. I get done the show. My wife and I get the kids ready for school, and I have my breakfast show. I'll have breakfast. I'll watch a show. And Hard Knocks right now is my breakfast show. So I'm watching it, and of course, I say on yesterday's show, I haven't seen Vic Fangio. Where's Vic Fangio? I haven't even seen it. Hasn't even walked by the camera. So I'm 5 minutes into the second part of episode 4. And sure enough, the first person I see is Vic Fangio. But it's nothing. It's him standing there with Mike McDaniel. And Mike McDaniel's like, oh, well, it's going to be a big game against the Titans. Vic Fangio's like, yeah. They run good, basically. That's all there is. There's nothing, not a lot to it. Still no coaching. No real insight to the Vic Fangio defense coordinator position. Got Nicky Pom-Poms in here. Okay. Sean Gillespie. It must be the Rooney rule that Brian keeps getting interviews. The idiot rule. Why Bieniemy isn't getting any. Sean? Yeah. It could be. Here's one thing that I will say about Brian Johnson and that rule. Brian Johnson was part of an organization that went to a Super Bowl as the quarterback's coach. That's a nice thing to have on your resume. Brian Johnson had worked with Jalen Hurts. There's a regression, so it shouldn't be a brag. The long story short is people aren't going to look at it, I think, as closely as us when it comes to the overall demise of the team. It actually benefits Brian Johnson that the Eagles made a coordinator change during the season, and it wasn't him. And he still had a 7th-ranked offense, and he never called plays before. So people are going to be intrigued by that. That's what I will say. Jeremy, what's going on, man? My best to Kristen. Bieniemy is certainly more qualified than Brian Johnson for a head coach job as well as an OC. Yeah, I was thinking about it because I've said many times that when it comes to Kellen Moore, it's the typical, I'm not blown away, but it's a good hire. I'm not amazed, but it's a good hire. Eric Bieniemy would blow me away. Eric Bieniemy would be, because this is a guy that has been poised to be a head coach for a long time, and for whatever reason, and maybe it's because he's too hard on guys. I don't know. He hasn't gotten that job just yet. But I did find it interesting. One of the takeaways I did have, and I mentioned this around the same time yesterday, so I won't dwell on it, but the relationship he had with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, as a member of the Dolphins, came over to Eric Bieniemy with the Commanders this past season and was like, hey, I wouldn't be where I am without you, coach. And Eric Bieniemy was like, oh, I love you, dude. A very nice moment. So it's like, we can't be that bad. Can't be that bad if that player's crossing the field and say, I love you. Can't be that bad. But yeah, it is interesting. Joe, what's up? Man, no one cares. It's about the Pro Bowl? Yeah. It's fine. I'm seeing people talk about the Pro Bowl. I'm seeing people talk about the Super Bowl. Like, nobody cares. I don't know. I just don't. I can't live in a world where the Super Bowl doesn't matter. And I can't root for I want the Chiefs to win. I can't root for the 49ers. Right now, the 49ers have it in their back pocket. And let's be real. Okay, let's be real here. If we were in the 49ers' shoes and we were down to our 4th-string quarterback in an NFC championship game, we'd be pretty, we wouldn't drag them through the mud as much, but we would be like, this sucks, all right? And then we would talk about how our 4th-string quarterback isn't good enough, and we'd probably blame Howie Roseman. That's probably how it would go. But we'd blame Howie, we'd blame Nick, we'd blame the players before we, poo-pooed the 49ers parade, okay? Their happiness. We'd focus on us before we started talking about them. So they have it in there. They have that feather in their cap. If we would have been healthy, we would have beat you. Okay, that's adorable. If they win the Super Bowl, they will. You think they've been annoying this whole time? Wait till they win a Super Bowl. I can't root for that. I'd rather root for a continued dynasty in Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and yes, that Taylor makes it back from her Japanese concert and makes it back in time to watch the Super Bowl, and she's there. Because again, I love, and I'm rooting for those two. I love. So that's where I'm at with that. So I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I want the Chiefs to win that game. But yes, it does. I do get the vibes that nobody cares, unfortunately. No way Kelce gets out like this. It left a bad taste in his mouth. Losing to the Bucs in the playoffs, Travis in the Super Bowl. He has to up his brother. That's great. I don't want to see either there. Both teams. Yeah, I don't want to see either. Have the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl. Sean, they tried it. Nobody watched it. They do it before, and nobody watches it. So, doesn't matter. One thing I do hate is that it devalues the Pro Bowl because nobody plays in it. Or not nobody plays in it, but now fewer players play in it because, the really good players, a lot of them are on Super Bowl teams. Go figure. If Kelce is worried about concussions, has anyone asked him if he would use a safer helmet covering games? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. This is Jim West VT asking because Virginia Tech Center from Bethlehem wears one in games due to past concussions. That's interesting. Richie Mack, too bad A.J. Brown is not going to be there. It's getting me nervous. It's going to feed the media narrative that Brown does not want to be here. Look, I can't tell you about other media members' narrative or whatever, but I think Brown wants to be here. Financially, it would be really good for him to be here. Play-wise, I think it'd be really good for him to be here. If you're A.J. Brown, one of the first, when we talked to R.J. Ochoa of Blogging the Boys, that's one of the first things he talked about. It was about how, run up the score. If you're a wide receiver, it's a good time to be a wide receiver. You want numbers? You like having receivers with back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons? Keep that coming, baby, because Kellen Moore's not going to shy away from that. He's only going to help it. So if you're Devontae Smith, if you're A.J. Brown, you want to be here. Pro Bowl is a waste. Is a waste ever since it left Hawaii. Oh man, brief personal story on that. When I was working for Sunday Night Football, I ran this machine for Chris Collinsworth. Basically, I wasn't talking to Chris Collinsworth. It wasn't like that. Nothing like that. Nothing pretentious like that. But I was running the machine for him. We didn't have any communication during the games, and I was told I wasn't going to Hawaii when they had the Pro Bowl, when the NBC had the Pro Bowl. And I'd never been to Hawaii. And I was like, what better way to end a football season than me in Hawaii, right? So one year it was kind of close that I was going to go to Hawaii, right? And I was told by my production manager, I was like, hey, we're not going to have that machine in Hawaii. It's a Pro Bowl. Nobody, we don't break it down as much as we do other things. So we're not going to fly out and do the thing. I'm like, all right, I get it. Whatever. So then I'm sitting at my post and, I hear Chris Collinsworth say to Fred Gaudelli, the producer, hey, Fred, here's a guy. No, all right. I hear him say, hey, Fred, is it true we're not going to have my tape machine in Hawaii? And Fred's like, well, yeah, we don't break down plays nearly as much as we do during regular season games. So basically, the machine I ran allowed Chris to see the play immediately after it happened. So while Al Michaels was saying, and in for the touchdown on a 20-yard run is LaShawn McCoy, whatever. By the time he's done that whole call, I have already replayed that play 3 or 4 times so that Collinsworth can be sure as to where the guard pulled to make a block or that where Shady made a cut to get to the end zone or something like that. So we can see the play over and over before he breaks it down for you. We the slang term for it was the clicker, okay, the clicker. So I'm hearing Collinsworth say to Fred Gaudelli, "Drew, we're not going to have this in Hawaii." And Fred's like, "Yeah, we don't break it down as much." He's like, and Chris is like, "I could really use it." And I'm like on the edge of my seat. I'm hearing this. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm going to go to Hawaii." And then I just hear Fred go, "We'll talk about it later." Just like I'm like, I'm not going to Hawaii. Damn it. So close. If I could just sell Chris Collinsworth and Fred Gaudelli the fact that I am absolutely essential personnel, I could be on the beautiful beaches eating sushi in Hawaii. Womp, womp. I know. Incredible story. I know. Pro Bowl is a waste. Bad time. Ever since I left Hawaii. Bad time in Philly sports. Eagles season done. Embiid injury. Flyer situation. Go Phillies. Thank you, Richie. I see the Eagles trading up in this draft for some key players. They got, 11 picks this year? Teresa, so ready for the Phillies, as am I. Today, AJ Brown is going to speak about the Eagles' season this year. Eagles fan, thank you, Sean. The porcelain doll Embiid should have sat regardless of knowing the knee issue. The window is slowly closing for the Sixers. I'll say this: the window might be closing with Embiid, but it's opening with Tyrese Maxey. Eagles fan, that is interesting. Teams aren't flocking to Bieniemy. Why aren't teams doing that? Something's off about Bieniemy, says Eagles fan. I agree. It's been so long. It's like, what's the deal here? But I did find it interesting that in his first experience away from KC, the first story is, oh, Eric Bieniemy's a tough SOB. It's like, really? That's the problem? Oh, interesting. Interesting. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You got, where'd all these come from? All right, appreciate you guys. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. All right. The Flyers are still on their break. Sixers still on the West Coast. They dropped to 29-17 on the season. They'll be back at it tomorrow night, February 1st, 10 o'clock. Another 10 o'clock tip-off, third straight 10 o'clock tip-off. This one in Utah against the Jazz. We'll see what the deal is with Joel Embiid. He is set to have an MRI today. So news on that later today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are wonderful as per usual. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. My thanks again to Olivia Reiner joining the show, giving us all the goods on Jason Kelce and her catching up with him down in Baltimore, Maryland. Thanks, everybody. Catch you tomorrow. See ya.